His hand slammed against the doorframe so hard the wood cracked. Amara flinched, her cleaning supplies clattering to the marble floor. "What did you just say?" Her voice came out broken, disbelieving. Jae-hyun's jaw was stone, his dark eyes empty. "You heard me. Get pregnant, or you're done here." Her heart stopped. Actually stopped. 3 months of stolen glances, whispered conversations in empty hallways, his fingers tracing her cheek when no one was looking. All of it felt like lies pouring through her fingers like sand. This is a joke. Tell me this is a sick joke. Do I look like I'm joking? He stepped closer, and she could smell his cologne, the same one she'd breathed in when he'd kissed her neck last week in the supply closet. "You have 2 weeks. 2 weeks to—" She couldn't even say it. The absurdity choked her. "Jae-hyun, we've never even—" "Then we start tonight." His voice was clinical, dead, like she was a business transaction. "Or you pack your shit and disappear. Your choice." Everything went silent. The grandfather clock in the hall stopped ticking. Her lungs forgot how to work. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I need an heir and you're here." He turned away, dismissing her like she was nothing, like she hadn't fallen asleep in his arms 2 nights ago while he whispered promises in Korean she didn't understand but felt in her soul. "I don't even know you." Her voice cracked, tears burning her eyes. "No," he said, pausing at the doorway. "You don't." The door closed. Amara's knees hit the floor, her hands shaking so violently she couldn't make them stop. In her pocket, her phone buzzed. A text from him, sent before he'd even left the room. "Dinner, 8 p.m. Wear something nice. We have business to discuss." Business. That's all she was now. 3 months earlier. "Girl, you cannot be serious about taking this job." Keisha's voice crackled through Amara's phone as she stood outside the massive iron gates of the Kim estate. "Cleaning houses for rich people? You have a degree." "A degree that got me exactly nowhere and $80,000 in debt." Amara adjusted her backpack, staring up at the mansion that looked like it belonged in a Korean drama, not suburban New Jersey. "It's good money, Keish. Really good money. Enough to send home to mom and actually save something." "Mm-hmm. And what do we know about this Kim family?" "That they pay cash, weekly, and mind their business." Amara pressed the intercom button. "I'll be fine. It's just cleaning." A woman's voice answered in Korean, then switched to accented English. "Name? Amara Jones. I'm the new—" The gate swung open before she could finish. The house, no, mansion, was ridiculous. White stone, 3 stories, with gardens that looked professionally maintained daily. Amara felt underdressed in her jeans and plain black t-shirt, even though she was just here to scrub toilets. The head housekeeper, Mrs. Park, met her at the service entrance. 60-something, gray hair in a tight bun, face that had forgotten how to smile. "You're late." Amara checked her phone. She was 3 minutes early. "I'm sorry, Come, I show you." Mrs. Park's English was choppy but commanding. She moved fast for her age, leading Amara through a maze of hallways. "You clean 3rd floor, Master Kim's private rooms. No one goes there but you, understand?" "Master Kim?" "Jae-hyun Kim, the son. He runs everything now." Mrs. Park's voice dropped. "His father died last year. Very complicated family. You do your job, you don't ask questions, you get paid. Simple." Nothing about this felt simple. Mrs. Park stopped at a door that required a fingerprint scan. She pressed her thumb to it, and it clicked open. "You get your own access tomorrow. For now, knock before entering. Always. Master Kim values privacy." The 3rd floor was different from the rest of the house. Darker, more masculine. Expensive artwork on the walls. Traditional Korean pieces mixed with modern abstracts. The smell of sandalwood and something else. Something that made Amara's skin prickle with awareness. "Start with the office," Mrs. Park instructed. "He's out until evening." Then she left Amara alone in a space that felt too intimate, too personal to be cleaned by a stranger. The office was immaculate, almost like no one used it. A massive mahogany desk, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the gardens, bookshelves lined with volumes in Korean, English, Japanese. Amara ran her finger along the desk, checking for dust. That's when she saw it. a photograph partially hidden beneath some papers. A young Jae-hyun, maybe 16, with a girl about the same age, both laughing, his arm around her shoulders. Amara shouldn't have looked, shouldn't have cared. Who said you could touch that? Amara spun around, heart in her throat. The man in the doorway was 30, maybe 32. Tall, easily 6'2", with sharp features, dark hair styled back, wearing a suit that probably cost more than her car. His eyes were the darkest she'd ever seen, and they were locked on her like she was prey. "I'm sorry, I was just dusting. I didn't mean to—" Out. One word, cold as winter. She grabbed her supplies and rushed past him, her shoulder brushing his chest. The contact sent electricity through her body that she absolutely did not want to acknowledge. In the hallway, she pressed her back against the wall, trying to catch her breath. Through the door, she heard him make a phone call in rapid Korean, his voice sharp and angry. This job was going to be harder than she thought. Present day, 8 p.m. Amara didn't own anything nice. Not the kind of nice that belonged in a dining room where a single fork probably cost more than her rent. She'd settled on a simple black dress she'd bought for her college graduation and never worn since. It felt like a costume, like she was playing a role in someone else's story. Jae-hyun was already seated when she arrived, wine glass in hand, looking like he'd been carved from marble and designer fabric. He didn't stand when she entered, didn't even look at her. "Sit." She sat. The chair was more comfortable than her bed. A staff member she'd never seen before appeared with plates, some kind of fancy Korean fusion meal that looked like art. Her stomach was too twisted to eat. "You didn't answer my question earlier," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Why me? Does it matter?" He cut his food with surgical precision. "You need money, I need an heir. It's transactional." "Transactional?" She laughed, but it came out bitter. 2 weeks ago, you told me I was beautiful, that you'd never met anyone like me. Was that transactional too? His jaw tightened. For a split second, something flickered in his eyes. Pain, maybe, or regret. But it vanished as quickly as it appeared. That was a mistake. Which part? The words or the feelings? Both. He finally looked at her, and his gaze was arctic. "You're an employee, Miss Jones. I forgot that temporarily. It won't happen again." The words were a slap. Amara's hands curled into fists under the table. "Then fire me. Let me leave with my dignity." "No." He sipped his wine. "You signed a contract. 2 years. You break it, you owe me $50,000 in penalties. Can you afford that?" She couldn't. He knew she couldn't. The contract had seemed standard when she'd signed it. Protection for both parties, Mrs. Park had said. Now it felt like a cage. "So what, you're blackmailing me into having your baby?" Her voice rose. "Do you hear how insane that sounds?" "Lower your voice." His tone was deadly quiet. "And yes, that's exactly what I'm doing." "Why?" She leaned forward, searching his face for any trace of the man who'd held her while they watched the sunrise from his balcony. "What happened to you? What changed?" For a moment, just a moment, his mask cracked. She saw exhaustion in the lines around his eyes, a heaviness in the set of his shoulders. Then he rebuilt the walls brick by brick. "My grandfather happened. He controls the family business, and he's given me an ultimatum. Produce an heir by next year, or he hands everything to my cousin. Everything my father built, everything I've worked for. So marry someone. Find a nice Korean girl from a nice family and—" "I can't." His voice was sharp enough to cut. "It's complicated. But you're not part of this world. You're not connected to the families, the politics. You're perfect." "Perfect?" She tasted the word like poison. "I'm perfect because I'm nobody. Because I don't matter." He didn't deny it. Amara stood, her chair scraping against the floor. "I'd rather be homeless than be your broodmare." She was at the door when his voice stopped her. "Your mother's hospital bills, St. Michael's Hospital in Atlanta, $47,000 in debt and counting. Lupus treatment isn't cheap." Her blood turned to ice. "How do you—" "I know everything about you, Amara. Your mother's illness, your brother in college, your father who walked out when you were 12, the eviction notice you're fighting." He stood now, moving toward her with predatory grace. I can make all of it disappear. Every bill, every debt your family will want for nothing. You investigated me. The betrayal burned worse than his earlier coldness. I investigate everyone. He stopped inches from her, close enough that she could feel his body heat. Say yes, and your mother gets the treatment she needs. Your brother finishes school. You'll have enough money to never clean another toilet again. And if I say no? His eyes were empty. Then I enforce the contract penalties, sue you for breach, and make sure no one in this city will hire you. You'll lose everything, and your mother's condition will worsen without treatment. Your choice. Tears burned her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not in front of him. Not when he'd become a monster wearing the face of the man she'd stupidly started falling for. I hate you, she whispered. Good. He stepped back, adjusting his cufflinks. Hate is simpler than what we had before. We start tomorrow night. My bedroom. 9 p.m. Don't be late. He left her standing there, shaking and broken, in a dining room that cost more than her entire life. The next morning, Amara called in sick. She spent 3 hours crying into Keisha's shoulder in her tiny apartment, telling her everything. Let me get this straight, Keisha said, pacing like a caged tiger. This rich psycho is blackmailing you into having his baby, or he'll destroy your family financially. Essentially, yes. Amara baby, that's coercion. That's illegal. We need to call the police, a lawyer, someone. And say what? That my employer is enforcing a contract I willingly signed? Amara wiped her eyes. He's too powerful, Keish. His family, they're connected. Grandfather apparently runs half the Korean business operations on the East Coast. I looked him up last night. Jae-hyun isn't just rich, he's dangerous. So what are you gonna do? Amara stared at her phone, at the text message that had come through an hour ago. Your mother's treatment has been paid in full. See you tonight. J8. He'd already started. Already bought her before she'd even agreed. I don't know, she whispered. I don't know. 9 p.m., his bedroom was less clinical than she'd expected. Dark blues and grays, minimal furniture, but somehow still elegant. A massive bed dominated the center, king-sized, maybe bigger. The thought of what was supposed to happen there made her want to vomit. Jae-hyun emerged from the bathroom in black silk pajama pants and nothing else. His chest was sculpted, decorated with a tattoo she'd never seen before. A dragon that wrapped around his ribs. Her body reacted against her will, heat pooling low in her belly. You came, he said, almost surprised. You paid my mother's hospital bills. You didn't leave me a choice. She stood near the door, arms wrapped around herself. How do you want to do this? Something flickered across his face. Amara. No. She cut him off. You don't get to use my name like we're friends. Like you didn't threaten to destroy my family yesterday. You want this to be transactional? Fine. Let's transact. She reached for the hem of her shirt. Stop. His voice cracked like a whip. Just stop. Why? Isn't this what you want? Not like this. He ran a hand through his hair, the first uncontrolled gesture she'd seen from him. Fuck. Not like this. Then how? She was shouting now. 3 months of confusion and pain and betrayal exploding out of her. How do you want me, Jae-hyun? On my back, on my knees. Tell me how to be the perfect incubator for your heir. I said stop. He grabbed her wrists, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to still her. His chest was heaving, his eyes wild. This is wrong. I know it's wrong. I don't have another choice. There's always a choice. Not in my world. His grip softened, his thumbs absently stroking her wrists. The tenderness of the gesture broke something in her. You don't understand what my family is, what they'll do if I don't comply. Then explain it to me. She looked up at him, searching for any trace of the man she'd known. Make me understand why you're doing this. For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then he released her wrists and stepped back. Get out. What? Leave. I can't. His voice was raw. I can't do this tonight. Just go. Amara didn't wait for him to change his mind. She fled, his broken expression seared into her memory. 2 weeks later, Amara had perfected the art of avoiding Jae-hyun. She cleaned his rooms when she knew he was out, left before he returned, ignored his texts. He didn't push, didn't show up at her door or demand she fulfill their arrangement. The silence was somehow worse than the threats. "You look like death," Keisha said, meeting her for lunch at their usual diner. "Have you eaten anything this week?" "I'm fine." "You're not fine, you're wasting away." Keisha reached across the table, squeezing her hand. "Talk to me." "What's there to say? I'm trapped. He's left me alone for now, but eventually he'll—" She couldn't finish the sentence. "Maybe he won't." A new voice interrupted. Male, smooth. Amara looked up to see a man about Jae-hyun's age, with warm eyes and an easy smile, standing beside their table. "Sorry, I couldn't help overhearing. You work for Jae-hyun Kim?" "Who's asking?" Keisha's tone was immediately suspicious. "David Chen. I'm a friend of his. Well, friend might be generous. Business associate." He extended his hand. "And you're right to be worried. Jae-hyun's in a bad situation." Amara's heart sank. "You know about the heir requirement?" "Yeah. His grandfather's been pressuring him for months." David slid into the booth uninvited, his expression sympathetic. "For what it's worth, I don't think he actually wants to go through with it. He's been a mess since his father died, making decisions that aren't like him." "You're defending him?" Amara's voice was sharp. "No, I'm explaining him. There's a difference." David leaned forward. Jae-hyun's father was murdered last year, shot in what the police called a robbery, but everyone knows it was a hit. Business rivals, the kind of people who don't play by normal rules. Jae-hyun inherited that world, the legitimate businesses and the not-so-legitimate connections. His grandfather is old school, believes in bloodlines and tradition. If Jae-hyun doesn't produce an heir, everything goes to his cousin Min-ho, who's basically a sociopath. Amara's head spun. "He never told me any of this." "Would you have believed him? Or would you have thought it was an excuse?" David shrugged. "Jae-hyun's terrible at vulnerability, always has been. He'd rather be the villain than admit he's scared." Keisha finally spoke up. "Okay, but none of that makes it okay to blackmail someone into pregnancy." "Agreed. That's why I'm here." David pulled out a business card. "I run a law firm specializing in immigration and contract law. If you want out, I can find a way, pro bono." Amara stared at the card. "Why would you help me?" "Because Jae-hyun's my friend and he's drowning. Someone needs to throw him a lifeline before he destroys himself and everyone around him." David stood. "Think about it. Call me if you want to talk." After he left, Keisha grabbed the card. "That was weird, right? That was super weird?" "Everything about this is weird." Amara pushed her untouched food away. "I need air." She went to the estate that night, not to clean, but to confront. Mrs. Park tried to stop her at the service entrance, but Amara pushed past, taking the stairs to the 3rd floor 2 at a time. Jae-hyun's office door was open. He sat at his desk, head in his hands, surrounded by papers and empty coffee cups. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "David Chen came to see me," she announced from the doorway. Jae-hyun's head snapped up. "What?" "He told me about your father, about Min-ho, about the real reason you're doing this." She stepped into the room. "Why didn't you just tell me?" "Because it doesn't change anything." He stood, exhaustion evident in every movement. "My problems aren't your responsibility. But making me your broodmare is fair game?" He flinched. "I thought I could separate it. Business and whatever we had. I thought I could just—" He made a frustrated gesture. "I was wrong about all of it. So where does that leave us?" "I don't know." The admission seemed to cost him. "I paid off your mother's bills, your brother's tuition for next semester. Consider it severance. You're released from your contract." Amara's breath caught. "What?" "You're free. Leave. Find a life that doesn't involve me and my fucked up family." He sat back down, dismissing her. "Mrs. Park will have your final check tomorrow." She should have felt relief, victory. Instead, all she felt was hollow. "That's it? You're just done? What do you want from me, Amara?" His voice was sharp with pain. "You want me to keep you trapped? To force you into something that makes you look at me like I'm a monster?" "I want the truth." She was shouting again. I want to know if any of it was real. The conversations, the touches, the night you held me and told me about your mother's garden. Was any of it real? Or was I just a potential incubator from day one? It was real. The words were barely audible. Every second of it was real, and that's why I have to let you go, because I can't. His voice broke. I can't force you into my nightmare. I won't. Amara's anger deflated. She crossed the room slowly, coming around the desk to face him. Up close, she could see the dark circles under his eyes, the tension in his jaw, the way his hands trembled slightly. Your father, she said softly. How did it happen? They shot him in the parking garage of his office building. 3 bullets. He died in my arms. Jae-hyun's voice was distant, like he was watching the memory from far away. His last words were, protect the family. Not I love you, not I'm proud of you. Just duty, always duty. I'm sorry. Don't be. He wasn't a good man, he was just my father. Jae-hyun finally looked at her, and the rawness in his expression stole her breath. I'm not a good man either, Amara. I've done things to protect the business, to survive in this world, that would make you run screaming. You should go while you still can. She should. Every logical part of her brain screamed at her to take the out he was offering and never look back. Instead, she asked, what if I don't want to go? His eyes widened. What? I'm not saying I want to have your baby. I'm not saying I forgive you for the threats. She took a shaky breath. But I'm saying, maybe we figure this out together. Find a different solution. There is no other solution. My grandfather is one man. Powerful, yes, but still just one man. She surprised herself with her conviction. There's always another way. We just have to find it. Why would you help me after everything I've done? Because I'm an idiot, she said, a weak smile tugging at her lips. And because somewhere under all this mafia boss bullshit, I think there's a decent man who's just scared and alone. Jae-hyun stood abruptly, closing the distance between them. His hand cupped her face with aching gentleness. You're not an idiot. You're the first real thing I've had in years. Then don't push me away. Amara. Whatever he was going to say died when his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and went pale. It's my grandfather. He answered in Korean, his tone deferential. Amara watched his expression shift from anxiety to shock to cold fury. The conversation lasted less than 2 minutes. When he hung up, his hand was shaking. What happened? He knows about you. About us. Jae-hyun's voice was hollow. He's invited us both to dinner tomorrow night, said it's time he met the woman carrying his great-grandchild. But I'm not. He doesn't know that. And if he finds out I lied about the pregnancy... Jae-hyun met her eyes. He'll kill me. Not metaphorically. Actually, kill me. That's how succession works in my family. Everything went silent. The room tilted. We run, Amara said desperately. We leave tonight. Disappear. He'll find us. And then he'll kill your family, too, just to make a point. Jae-hyun pulled her close, his forehead resting against hers. I'm so sorry. I've dragged you into hell. Then we fight our way out. She didn't know where the words came from, but they felt true. Together. He kissed her then, desperate and hungry and terrified. She kissed him back, tasting fear and need and something that felt dangerously close to love. When they broke apart, he whispered, If we do this, there's no going back. You'll be part of this world. The danger, the secrets, all of it. I know. And you're still staying? She should have said no, should have run, should have chosen safety over this beautiful, broken man who'd threatened everything she loved. Instead, she said, I'm staying. His grip tightened. Then we do this my way. Tomorrow night you play the part of my pregnant fiancé. We convince my grandfather, buy ourselves time to find a real solution. And if we can't convince him? Jae-hyun's smile was dark. Then we find out just how much I'm like my father. The next night, The Kim family estate made Jaehyun's mansion look modest. Sprawling grounds, traditional Korean architecture mixed with modern luxury, security everywhere. Amara felt underdressed, despite the designer dress Jaehyun had sent to her apartment that morning. Black silk, elegant but conservative. "Remember," Jaehyun murmured as they walked toward the main house, his hand on the small of her back. "You're 3 months pregnant. We've been secretly dating for 6 months. You're madly in love with me." Method acting, got it. Her attempt at humor fell flat. "Amara." He stopped, turning her to face him. "If anything goes wrong, you run. Don't try to help me, don't try to be brave, just run. I'm not leaving you. You will if I tell you to." His tone brooked no argument. "Promise me." The front door opened. A man who had to be Kim Tae-won stood there. 70, maybe older, with iron gray hair and eyes that could freeze fire. Behind him stood another younger man, early 30s, with a cruel smile. "Grandson." Taewon's voice carried absolute authority. "You're late." "My apologies, grandfather." Jaehyun bowed formally. "May I introduce—" "The pregnant cleaning girl, yes, I know." Taewon's gaze raked over Amara like she was livestock. "Come inside. We have much to discuss." The dining room was intimidatingly formal. Taewon sat at the head of the table, Jaehyun on his right, Amara beside him. The cruel-smiled man, Min Ho, she realized, sat across from them, watching with predatory interest. "So," Taewon began as staff served the first course, "tell me how you seduced my grandson." Amara nearly choked. "I'm sorry? A cleaning girl from America? No family connections, no money. Yet somehow you've accomplished what daughters of our finest families could not." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "I'm curious about your methods." "I didn't seduce anyone. She glanced at Jaehyun, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. "We fell in love." "Love." Taewon spat the word like it was poison. "Love is for poets and fools. My grandson understands duty." "With respect, sir," Amara said, surprised by her own boldness, "your grandson understands both. That's why we're here." Minho laughed. "She's got spirit. I can see the appeal." "Quiet," Taewon snapped. To Amara, "You claim to be pregnant. Show me the proof." "Grandfather, she's barely showing—" Jaehyun started. "Medical records, ultrasound, blood work." Taewon's stare was unflinching. "You have these documents." Amara's heart sank. They'd prepared for questions, but not this. "Not with me. How convenient." Taewon set down his chopsticks with deliberate precision. "Minho, call Dr. Sung. We'll verify the pregnancy now." "That's not necessary," Jaehyun said, his voice tight. "We can provide documentation. Now." Taewon's word was final. The next 30 minutes were a nightmare. A doctor arrived, set up a portable ultrasound machine in one of the guest rooms. Amara lay on the examination table, Jaehyun gripping her hand so hard it hurt. The doctor, an older woman with kind eyes, performed the ultrasound in silence. Seconds stretched to eternity. Finally, she spoke in Korean to Taewon, who'd insisted on being present. His expression darkened. "She's not pregnant," he said in English, turning to Jaehyun. "You lied to me." "Grandfather, I can explain." "Silence!" Taewon's roar echoed in the small room. "You bring this woman into my home, claim she carries my legacy, and it's all lies. Do you know what happens to people who lie to me?" "It's not his fault," Amara blurted out. "I lied to him. I told him I was pregnant because I wanted—" "Do not insult my intelligence." Taewon stepped closer, and Amara could smell expensive tobacco and something metallic. Fear. "You're protecting him. How noble. How foolish." He made a gesture, and suddenly 2 large men were in the room. Security, muscle, whatever, flanking Jaehyun. "Take him to the basement," Taewon ordered. "I'll deal with him personally." "No." Amara tried to get up, but the doctor held her down gently. "Stay calm," the doctor whispered in heavily accented English. Bad for baby if you stress. Amara froze. What? The doctor glanced toward Tae-won, who was busy giving orders, then leaned close. You are pregnant. Very early. Maybe 4, 5 weeks. I told him you're not because... She nodded toward Jae-hyun. Because I delivered that boy. I knew his mother. She asked me, before she died, protect him from his father, his grandfather. So I protect. Everything stopped. I'm pregnant? Yes, but you didn't know. Yes. Very early. The doctor squeezed her hand. I tell them no baby. You take grandson and run far away. This family. They eat their children. Amara's mind reeled. Pregnant. She was actually pregnant. It had to be from that night 2 months ago when they'd stayed up talking until sunrise and had ended up tangled together on his couch, half-dressed and breathless. They'd only... Amara, go! Jae-hyun's voice snapped her back to reality. The security guards were dragging him toward the door. She ran, not away from him, but toward him. She grabbed one guard's arm and he shoved her backward. She hit the wall hard, vision blurring. Don't you fucking touch her! Jae-hyun's voice was murderous. He threw off both guards with shocking strength, rushing to her side. Are you okay? Did they hurt you? I'm fine. She looked past him to see Tae-won pull a gun from inside his jacket. Enough of this circus, the old man said, aiming it at Jae-hyun. You've embarrassed this family for the last time. Grandfather, please. The gunshot was deafening, but it wasn't Tae-won who'd fired. Minho stood in the doorway, his own gun drawn, smoke curling from the barrel. Tae-won stumbled, red blooming across his white shirt. I'm tired of waiting for my inheritance, Minho said calmly. Thanks for gathering, everyone, Uncle. Made this much easier. Everything happened fast. The security guards turned on Minho, but he'd brought his own men. Gunfire, shouting. Jae-hyun grabbed Amara, shoving her into the attached bathroom. Stay here. Don't come out no matter what you hear. His eyes were wild. If I don't come back, there's a safe in my office. Code is your birthday. Everything you need is inside. Jae-hyun. He kissed her hard and fast. I love you. I should have said it weeks ago. I love you, and I'm sorry for everything. Then he was gone, back into the chaos. Amara crouched in the bathroom, hands over her ears, tears streaming down her face. The gunfire seemed endless, then silence. Horrible, complete silence. She waited. 5 minutes, 10, 20. Finally, the door opened. She screamed, It's me, it's okay, it's me. Jae-hyun stood there, blood on his shirt, bruises forming on his face, but alive. So alive. She launched herself at him, sobbing into his chest. I thought you were dead. I thought, shh, I'm here, it's over. He held her like she might disappear. Minho's dead. Grandfather's in surgery, but he'll make it. The police are coming. We have to... I'm pregnant, she blurted out. He went very still. What? The doctor lied to your grandfather. She told him I wasn't pregnant to protect you, but I am. 4 or 5 weeks. The words tumbled out in a rush. From that night on your couch, I think, and I don't know how this happened because we were careful, but... He kissed her, soft and reverent and full of wonder. When he pulled back, there were tears in his eyes. You're pregnant. Are you happy? Angry? I can't tell, you're just... I'm terrified, he admitted. And happy and terrified again. Is it possible to feel both? I'm feeling about 17 emotions right now, so yes. He laughed, the sound broken and beautiful. We need to get you to a hospital. Make sure you're okay after... I'm fine. She cupped his face. We're fine. All of us. All 3 of us, he corrected, his hand moving to her still, flat stomach. Holy shit, 3 of us. Police sirens wailed in the distance. The nightmare was ending, but their story, the real one, was just beginning. 3 months later, Keisha adjusted Amara's necklace for the 3rd time. Girl, you're glowing. Pregnancy looks good on you. Pregnancy looks like I'm constantly nauseous and crying at diaper commercials. But Amara smiled at her reflection. 7 months pregnant now, and she'd never felt more beautiful. The venue was perfect, A small garden restaurant, intimate and warm, nothing like the cold formality of the Kim estate. Jae-hyun had wanted to keep the engagement party simple. Close friends, chosen family, people who actually mattered. David Chen was there with his new girlfriend, Keisha, surprisingly. They'd hit it off when he'd helped with the legal aftermath of Minho's attack, and now they were inseparable. "Never thought I'd date a lawyer," Keisha had said, "but damn, he looks good in a suit." Jae-hyun's grandfather was not there. Taewon had survived the gunshot, but the scandal and investigation into the family's less legal business dealings had forced him into retirement. Jae-hyun was restructuring everything, cutting ties with dangerous elements, legitimizing operations. It was slow, painful work, but necessary. "Ready?" Jae-hyun appeared beside Amara, devastating in a navy suit. He'd cut his hair shorter, looked younger somehow, lighter. "For what? We're already engaged." She held up her hand, showing off the ring he'd given her a month ago. Not a massive diamond, but a sapphire surrounded by small diamonds, elegant and meaningful. "For this." He got down on one knee, right there in the middle of their engagement party. Conversation stopped. Everyone stared. "Jae-hyun, what are you—" "I did this wrong the first time. Everything about us started wrong." He took her hand. "So I want to do it right. Amara Jones, you are the bravest, strongest, most beautiful woman I've ever known. You walked into my nightmare and somehow turned it into a dream. You're carrying my child, and every day I wake up amazed that you chose me. Choose me again. Officially. Be my wife." She was crying. Everyone was crying. "We're already engaged, you dramatic man. Is that a yes?" "It's a yes, you idiot. Now get up before you make me cry harder." She pulled him to his feet, kissing him while their friends applauded. David raised his glass. "To new beginnings and leaving the past where it belongs, in the past." "To found family," Keisha added, wrapping an arm around David's waist. "To love," Jae-hyun said, his hand resting on Amara's baby bump, in all its complicated, messy, perfect forms. They toasted. They laughed. They celebrated not just an engagement, but survival, transformation, hope. Later, as the party wound down and guests filtered out, Amara and Jae-hyun stood in the garden, her back against his chest, his arms wrapped around her. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked quietly, staying that night instead of running. "Every day," she said, then felt him tense. "I'm kidding. Mostly kidding." "You're terrible. You love me anyway." "I do." He pressed a kiss to her temple. "More than I thought I could love anything. What about the baby?" "Okay, tied for first place with the baby. Happy?" She turned in his arms, looking up at this man who'd once threatened to destroy her life, and instead had rebuilt it into something better. "I'm happy. Scared about parenthood, worried about your family drama never really ending, anxious about 1,000 things. But happy. Good." He kissed her forehead, her nose, her lips. "Because you're stuck with me now. Trapped by pregnancy and a legally binding engagement. My mother would be so proud. Speaking of, she's flying in next week to help set up the nursery." Amara's eyes widened. "You flew my mother here? From Atlanta?" "First class. She's staying in the guest house for as long as she wants." He shrugged like it was nothing, but his ears were red. "Family takes care of family." She kissed him then, pouring everything she couldn't say into it, gratitude and love and trust and commitment. When they finally broke apart, he whispered, "Thank you." "For what?" "For seeing the man I could be instead of the monster I was." "You were never a monster, just a man in an impossible situation." She took his hand, placing it on her stomach, where their daughter was currently doing somersaults. "And now you're going to be a father." He paled. "Don't remind me. I have no idea what I'm doing." "Good thing we have 9 months to figure it out. Well, 2 months now." 2 months, he repeated, looking genuinely panicked. "That's so soon." "Jae-hyun, you survived a gangster grandfather and a coup attempt by your psychotic cousin. You can handle one tiny baby." "Can I?" She smiled. "We both can. Together. Together. It was a promise and a choice and a future all wrapped into one word. As they walked back toward the restaurant, hands intertwined, Amara felt the weight of the past months lift. The threats, the fear, the impossible choices. They'd survived it all. And now, finally, they could start living. 6 months later, the nursery, 3 a.m. "She's definitely yours," Amara groaned, pacing the room with their screaming daughter, because she never sleeps and has a dramatic flair for the theatrical. Jae-hyun stumbled in, hair everywhere, wearing pajama pants backward. "My turn. Give her here." "Are you sure? You've got that meeting in the morning?" "Our meeting. We're partners now, remember?" He took baby Mina, and miraculously, she started to calm,